Okay, in this video, I'll be going over the blood vessel lab for AMP1. This is BIOL-213. So if you refer to your blood vessel lab, I'll be going down the list in order by vessel type and regions. So I'm going to be starting off with the arteries and the head and torso region. So starting off from the very top of the list, we got the different parts of the aorta. So I have a heart attached right here. So you can see the different parts of the aorta here. And so the first part is the ascending aorta. Ascending means it's going up. So it's part of the aorta that's going up from the heart right here. After the ascending aorta, you have the aortic arch, or the arch of the aorta. That's where it kind of curves in top of the heart and starts working its way down. At the after the aortic arch, you start seeing the thoracic aorta. Now, to see the thoracic aorta, I'll have to remove the heart here. So the heart was right here in this region. So this is where it was attached to the arch of the aorta. And then you see right down here, the aorta is coming down. So this is what can be referred to as a descending aorta. But because it's in the thoracic area, right next to the lungs, this is a thoracic aorta. And you can see the aorta comes all the way down here as well into the abdominal cavity. And that is called the abdominal aorta. So after the diaphragm, which is about right here, it becomes abdominal aorta. And it works its way all the way down until we talk about the iliac arteries, which branches out to different legs. And so those are different parts of the aorta. So I'm going to put this heart back on here. Alright, so looking back at the heart, on the next on the list is the coronary arteries. Now coronary arteries, which you should know by looking at the heart models already, the coronary arteries is the arteries that wrap around right here, right underneath the flap of the auricle. So here's a little bit of the coronary artery right here. You can see a little bit if I turn the heart around, so you can see it goes all the way around here. So all this is the actually typical coronary arteries right there. All right. The next artery that's on the list is the brachiocephalic one. Well, the brachiocephalic artery, so if I zoom in on the aortic arch right here, so the brachiocephalic artery is actually the very first branch coming off of the aorta. So if I clear this up a little bit for you, zoom in. Alright, so this first branch right here is a brachiocephalic. So it's the first one coming off here. Now what does brachiocephalic mean is that brachial means arm, cephalic means head. And so this artery comes up and part of it goes up to the head, which you can kind of see right here. It comes up to the head. The other part of it goes down to the arm. So brachial means arm, cephalic means head right here. So this is the brachiocephalic artery. Now, the part where it goes to the head, this is the actual right common carotid artery, which you don't see that well. You see branches coming off it, but it's not that well defined. But if on this side, you actually see really well the left common carotid artery, which comes all the way up on the left side of the neck and works its way up to there. Alright, so the left artery, so you see a little bit better on this model than the right one. Alright, moving the camera a little bit more here. I got this arm attached now, so you can see the next major artery, which is the left subclavian artery. The left subclavian artery goes underneath the clavicle. Okay, and so here's the clavicle bone right here. Now this clavicle bone has been cut, so you can see it. So this artery right here is the left subclavian artery. Sub, under, clavian, clavicle. So this goes right under this clavicle right here on its way to the arm. So left subclavian artery. Okay, that works our way down to the rib cage. So I'm going to take up the head so I can easily move around the torso model here for you. Alright, so getting down into the thoracic rib cage. Alright, next on the list is the posterior intercostal artery. So the posterior intercostal artery, when you're looking at the rib cage from the back. So that's what the posterior means. You see each of these red arteries going in between the ribs. Those are the posterior intercostal arteries. All right. Moving on down, you're gonna come across what's called a celiac artery. Okay, so celiac artery, as you may refer to as like a celiac disease. Okay, celiac refers quite a bit to the stomach, so I'm going to associate a little bit with the digestive tract here, where you just start adding in here. So there's a little bit right here. Okay, and then I'll put a little bit of the pancreas on here. Alright, so celiac disease refers to like a digestive issue that cannot digest gluten. So celiac, just a word celiac, you should be thinking of the digestive system. So now that I have the stomach and the pancreas and the duodenum intact here, I'm going to show you the good representation of where the celiac artery is. So the celiac artery actually is the one that runs right across the top of the pancreas here. Okay, and so right here, right across the top here. Later on, it's going to attach to the spleen here. So right here is called the celiac artery. But when it comes closer to this organ is the spleen. So this part is actually called the splenic artery. And then another branch off of the celiac artery is a gastric artery. Now gastric means stomach. So if I put the stomach on here, and you see some blood vessels on the arteries on the stomach here, right here, 144, and then on the back here as well. These are the gastric artery. Okay, the next on there is the hepatic artery. Now the hepatic means liver, so here I'm putting down the liver all into this digestive grouping of organs right here. So if I flip this liver over, you're going to see a major artery right in the back side of the liver. This artery right here is the hepatic artery. Okay. The next artery is on the old torsomal, the phrenic artery. I do not have the old torsomal with me, but that phrenic artery is connected right to the diaphragm. Okay, so just for future reference, I am, both the phrenic artery and the phrenic vein is not on this model, but it does go right to the diaphragm. Phrenic means diaphragm. Okay, next we're going to have the mesenteric arteries. Now the mesenteric arteries connect right to the small intestines, or intestines in general. So I'm going to zoom in onto this. This is the abdominal aorta I'm looking at. Now what I want you to focus on with this abdominal aorta is some small branches that are coming off. So notice a trend here. You have one big artery branch coming off here. You see a pair of two smaller ones, and then you see one big one coming out here. So it goes one, a pair, and then one. This first one, this is a superior mesenteric artery. Superior mesenteric. This goes into the upper part of the intestines. This one down here is an inferior mesenteric artery. Okay, so this one goes in the upper part of the intestines. This one goes into the lower part of the intestine. So mesenteric always means like intestines. Now I'm going to go a little bit ahead here and go, what are these pair ones here? Well, these lead to the gonads. So those are the gonadal arteries. That's why they're in pairs, because we have a pair of gonads. Okay, so again, superior mesenteric, gonadal arteries, and an inferior mesenteric. Okay, ones I missed deals with near the kidneys. So suprarenal and renal arteries. Alright, so if I refer to on here, okay, so the kidney region here. So this major artery to go into the kidney, that is the renal artery. Now the suprarenal artery, it shows more on this side here. That'll be this artery right here. This goes to the region called suprarenal, which means it's above the renal. That would mean we're talking about the adrenal glands. So this goes right to the adrenal gland right here. So suprarenal does not go to the kidney, it goes to the adrenal gland. And the renal artery goes to the kidney right here. Okay, next one is a common iliac artery. So if I go down the aorta, down to where it splits, this would be the common iliac arteries, right through here. Okay, so the common iliac arteries. Okay, and the next few on the list here, internal thoracic artery. It's not shown on this model. Intercostal arteries, I have shown you that before. On here, you see the posterior one. The anterior one is on the front part of the rib cage, but it's not shown on this model. Okay, and that is all the arteries in the head and torso region. So I'm going to move on to this arm region here for the arteries. Alright, so looking at this arm here, starting off at the shoulder region. Okay, so on the arm, you always want to try to remember where are you located at in the arm here. So we're going to start off right up here, right in the shoulder here. Alright, so this up here, this is called the axillary artery. Axillary means armpit. So we're going right into the armpit area right there. Going down a little bit farther. So this is all like one major artery here. It's just changing up the names according to what region it's going through. So you start off at the armpit and you work your way down, and this right here is a brachial artery. In the brachial artery. We already talked about the left subclavian artery before, so that was the one that went right underneath the clavicle. So I'm not going to show that one again. And when I go a little bit lower down the arm here, into the lower arm, you notice it branches off into two different branches here. And so you imagine the two different bones of the lower arm. You have the radial and the ulnar. So this one right here is a radial. How do I know it's a radial? Because it's on the thumb side. Here's the thumb. Okay, so I'm going to put that into the picture right here for you. So thumb side, radial artery. Pinky side, it goes on the pinky side right here. This right here is a ulnar artery. It goes right along the ulna. So that would be the arm right there. So axillary, brachial, ulnar, and radial. This one does not show the deep brachial artery, so ignore the deep brachial. I'm not going to quiz you on that. Okay. The last region for the arteries. Okay, goes to the leg here. So I'm gonna get the leg model on here instead of the torso here. Okay, so getting together here with one leg here. Starting off on the top here, I'm going to move the sartorius also here so you can see the arteries a little bit better. There you go. Alright, so we started off with the common iliac artery, which was the part where the abdominal aorta split off into two different ones, two different pathways, two different legs. Okay, so actually, let me bring that back up here so you can see this here. Alright, so right here. So here's the abdominal aorta. Here's the common iliac arteries. Right here and right here is the common iliac arteries. If you go a little bit further down the iliac arteries, you notice the iliac arteries split up. You have the external one and you have the internal one. The internal one goes deeper into the leg. Alright, next you have the gluteal arteries. Gluteal means gluteus maximus. That would be the rear end, the butt. And so if I turn this over here, it's like that, the gluteal region. So this is the back end here, and you have different parts here. You have the superior one on top, and you have the inferior gluteal right here. Pudendal artery is not on this model, so ignore that one. We talked about the external iliac artery. Now that goes right along down this artery that goes right down the thigh right here. This is the femoral artery. Okay, so the femoral artery right here, and then you can see there's a part of the femoral artery right here that goes a little deeper, so that's called a deep femoral artery right here. If I turn this around, Okay, so now I'm looking at the back of the knee. The back of the knee is a region called the popliteal region. So this is the popliteal artery. It goes right through this region, right here, right in the back of that leg there. And then going down further to the lower leg. Okay, so this is the lower leg. You see the heel of the foot right there. Okay, going down here, this would be the tibial artery, and so you have the posterior tibial artery right here in the lower leg. We're looking at from the back, so that's why it's posterior. Now if I turn this around here, and if I remove this muscle here, you see the anterior tibial artery that goes right along the front part, right along your shin area here. So again, looking at the foot here. So when I take pictures for the lab exam, I'll do my very best to show you either like the thumb and the arm or like the foot here, so you can guide yourself in what direction you're looking. Okay, so that includes all the arteries. So I'm going to go through all the regions once more here, but this time looking at the veins. Alright, so starting off with the head model here. So now we're going to be focusing on the blue vessels, as those are the veins. Alright, so we're going to start off looking at the jugular veins. Okay, so here's the jugular veins that run on both different pairs here. So this one you actually see the jugular vein coming right up on this side here, and this side you only see them as like branches. So you see like an internal jugular and an external jugular here, but this side shows it really good going up along the neck. Okay, next you have the subclavian vein. The subclavian vein is just like the subclavian artery. This is where it starts going towards the arm, and it's going to be underneath the clavicle bone. So the clavicle bone kind of goes out like this, and it's going to go right under the clavicle bone, just like we talked about with the subclavian artery. So subclavian vein, and it actually goes into the arm region really well. Okay, so then you have the brachial cephalic veins there. So in order to show you that, let's see if I have the right model parts to show you that here. Let's see here. So brachial cephalic veins here. I'm going to have to start putting this together with start putting together like this, and with the heart here, so you can orientate that. Okay, so the subclavian vein, or excuse me, the brachiocephalic veins, is the part where if you follow the superior vena cava, so if you follow the superior vena cava right here, it splits off. This and this are the brachiocephalic veins. Okay, so that superior vena cava comes up and forms like a Y. So these are brachiocephalic veins here, which again, brachiocephalic means you go to the head and the arm at the same time. Okay, so moving that over, let's see, going to the little bit review about some blood vessels in the heart. Here you got the superior vena cava right here. So like I said here, it's the superior vena cava right here, brachiocephalic vein, brachiocephalic vein. Intercostal veins. Intercostal veins. Intercostal means in between the ribs. So again, when I pull up the rib cage, right here, you have yourself these intercostal veins. Just like I pointed out intercostal arteries before, these are intercostal veins. A zygos vein is the one that goes right down the back. So it goes right on down. This is the zygos vein. And it goes right on down. Okay, hepatic portal vein. Hepatic portal. The word hepatic should give you a clue. You're talking about the liver. Okay, hepatic portal vein. So if I flip around this liver, the hepatic portal vein is this purple one right here. This is a inferior vena cava. This is a hepatic portal vein. Okay, next is a superior mesenteric vein. Superior mesenteric means, again, it means like intestines. Okay, so I don't have an inferior mesenteric vein on this model, but I do have a superior mesenteric. So if I put the pancreas back on here, I'll show you right here, it shows the superior mesenteric vein right here, which feeds right into the intestines. Okay, next is splenic vein. That means splenic, you gotta find the spleen. Here's the spleen right here, and here's the splenic vein that goes right to it. Gonadal veins. Gonadal veins are not shown on this model, but it just is exactly like the gonadal arteries. You know, they're in pairs like this, and they go right to the gonads. Renal vein. Renal kidney. Here it is right here. Goes directly to kidney. That's the renal vein. Suprarenal vein goes above the kidney. Here it is. Goes right to the adrenal gland, sitting on top. The phrenic vein is not shown on here. Again, the phrenic vein means it goes to the diaphragm. Axillary is not shown on here. Axillary vein that goes in the armpit. Cephalic vein goes over the shoulder. That's found in the old torso model. Do not worry about that one. Okay, that moves us on to the leg region. Okay, so the leg region, I'm going to start off with this here. Just like I told you earlier about the aorta coming down and splitting off into the iliac arteries, with this inferior vena cava splits up into, these are the iliac veins. So just like the iliac arteries, you get the iliac veins right here. And just like the iliac arteries, it has an external one and an internal one that goes really deep in there. Okay, so it goes external, internal, and here's a common one. Okay, the femoral vein. Now, the femoral vein, when you follow this one all the way down to the thigh here, this is the femoral vein, right down here when it goes right on down the femur. Right on down here. Okay, the great saphenous vein is not on this model, but we do have a popliteal vein. The popliteal vein, that one is in the back of the knee. So if I bring up this leg model right here, this is a popliteal artery. Here's a popliteal vein. Runs right along next to it. Right here. Okay, and we talk about the iliac veins, and the inferior vena cava, again, is a part of the heart that comes up in the bottom, coming up. Superior vena cava, inferior vena cava. Alright, and that is all the veins. So, study locations. Location names will help you out tremendously, knowing the body regions. Alright, so good luck studying the blood vessels. Let me know if you have any questions by the forums or email me.